Hey, this is John Lee Dumas, the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire. And if you're wanting to learn how to embrace change and navigate through disruption as a leader, then listen to the Leadership is Changing podcast with my good friend, Denis Giannoutzis. He's prepared to ignite.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Giannoutzis.
Hey, welcome to the show, Leadership is Changing. What we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Leaders everywhere confront similar obstacles because people are people, but everywhere you go, leaders are overwhelmed, disrupted, and under pressure. They run from email to email, meeting to meeting. Many leaders are not changing quick enough, which means they run the risk of becoming irrelevant and being left behind. Perhaps the show is taking our listeners' leadership to another level by finding their balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. I believe we don't have enough effective leaders in the world today, and if we can get the leaders to step up and lead change, then they can inspire real change. Hey listeners, it's now time to adapt in our fast-moving world.
Welcome to the Ask Denis freestyle episode. I'm asked a question by our listeners, or I share my thoughts, insights, and experiences from working with many leaders around the globe. Hey, if you haven't already checked out the Facebook group or the LinkedIn page, Leadership is Changing, we would love to see you on those different platforms. Come along and share your thoughts about leadership and change and what's happening in this world of a fast-paced, ever-changing world. But I want to welcome you to today's episode. This week, we saw another legend in the personal development space pass away. So today's episode is called A Tribute to a Legend, Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor is a superb leader, speaker, mentor, and trainer. He was world class. He impacted millions around the world with his teaching, and he was up there what I call the legend league of speakers. People like Earl Nightingale, Bill Gove, Jim Rohn, and Zig Ziglar. Bob was also the author of a book called You Were Born Rich. Now, Mary and I had the pleasure to spend time with Bob over the years and being part of his programs and spent some one-on-one time with him as well. Fantastic guy to be around. Now, Bob's mission was to help people unlock their potential and bring it to life. And there's been some really quite interesting quotes. Here's a couple of them that Bob has shared over the years. Thoughts become things. If you see it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. Now, Bob talked to us and taught us about the fact that many things in life today, so if you just take something around you like a pen or a coffee cup or whatever's around you, that item was first seen by somebody in their mind before that actually became or was created into a physical form that you have today. And our life and our goals and everything we want to do in life really comes down to our thoughts because they tend to become things. And if you see it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. Another one was, the only limits in our life are those we impose on ourselves. And it's interesting how for a lot of us, we get in our own way and it comes down to our thinking, it comes down to our paradigms, our beliefs, and so forth. And Bob has shared some beautiful things over the years, and it's been really, really quite cool just to be part of and to learn from him. Now, one thing that Bob talked about was something on the lines of a stick man or a stick person kind of concept or model. Our thoughts affect our emotions, that impact our actions, that produces results. Now, the thing here with this is that you and I, is the fact that we are bombarded every single day. On our conscious mind, there are things from the news, from people around us, from the workplace, everything. Things are going into our conscious and then goes into our subconscious. Hence why I don't want to watch the news, and hence why I've stopped the news feed on my social media, because it's just things going into my conscious and subconscious that I don't really want to have around me. Now, some of you may recognize the name Bob Proctor because Bob was on the film The Secret. And if you remember The Secret, he was in the beige suit, the white hair with glasses, and he talked about the mind and the way we are and so forth. Bob taught a lot from the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and He had a book that had been so thumbed or so much used by him over the years, it was falling apart, and something that he taught a lot about. And if you haven't read that book, Think and Grow Rich, I'm going to highly recommend that you go and grab that book and have a read of it, and maybe read it 2 or 3 times this year, because there'll be some things in there that are really going to help you. Because Mary and I used to do or run masterminds around one of Bob's programs, actually. In fact, it was based on the book Think and Grow Rich. The thing that comes to mind was that when we're doing those actual masterminds, that the participants were thinking or taking time out to think about their clear image, their vision on what they wanted. Blocking out all the noise and not allowing them to come into their conscious and subconscious minds. And so, as I said before, they tended to try and block things out. Why? Because once again, it affected their thoughts, their emotions, their feelings, which then impacted the actions that they took, and then that produced certain results. A major aspect and focus of leadership that we've talked about in the past is what I call legacy. Legacy being something that you do to set things up for the future. And that's what our role is as leaders, is that we're there to help run businesses, lead others and communities, whatever it is, but also we're there to develop other leaders, and we're there to start building the legacy for the future. This is the same thing that happened to you and I as well, that we've had other people teach us. They've given us opportunities to be able to do things, the legacies, and Bob has certainly left a huge legacy that spans the world. He's left it through his teachings and his material. And his legacy will continue to live via that material and via people he has taught and positively impacted over the years, who will go on to continue to teach his and utilize his learnings, his wisdom, his insights, and his teachings. So my question to you listeners is this: what are you doing today to develop yourself to be a world-class leader like the Bob Proctors? What steps are you putting in place today or now to leave a legacy in the future? Embrace the leaders and teachers and speakers and coaches and mentors that come into your life every single day. Learn as much as you can from them, and then pass that light on. Rongotai College, which is a college in Wellington, New Zealand that I went to, college being, for those in other countries, high school, as other countries may call it. We had a Latin term, and I think they've changed it now, but the Latin term was liminem abset et imperiti, which said take on the light and then pass it on. And so for students who went into that college, we went in there to take the light, and then we were going off into our lives to go and pass it on to others as well. And this is what Bob Proctor's done. He's taken the light and he's shared that light with others and passed it on to us for us to go forward now and do things as well. So if you think about those quotes, thoughts become things. If you see it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. Listeners, the only limits in our life are those we impose on ourselves. Let's get our thinking clear. Let's get clarity. Let's understand where we're going, and let's stay focused. You will hear me in these other episodes that I've done. Discipline, focus, consistency. If you're disciplined in what you do and hold yourself accountable around that discipline, that's important. If you focus on when you need to focus and not be distracted by other things, very important as well. Then the third thing is the consistency. If you said you're going to go to the gym every day or every 2 days, or if you're going to go for a walk every day, or if you're going to go and do something else in life or in business, consistency is going to be your friend. It's going to try and trip you up. Consistency is important. Today I posted something around episode 260 on LinkedIn and social media like Facebook and so forth. And somebody said, wow, 260? And I'm like, yep. And other episodes are already recorded, and then we'll release those as we go forward. But there's one thing of feedback that I've been getting from some people as well, and that's about the consistency. But you see, I had this thought about having a podcast, and now I had that in my mind. I was able to bring it to life, and I'm able to hold that in my hand today. What can you hold in your hand going forward? Bob Proctor, as a tribute to you for being the legend that you have been, for being the person that's actually affected so many people in the world positively and helped them move forward in their lives and their businesses. Thank you for being the speaker, the mentor, the coach, the trainer, the person that we've looked to gain that insight, but someone who has passed that light on to others. We farewell you on your way forward, travels forward. And know that it has actually been a real pleasure being around you and learning from you. Rest in peace, Bob.
Hey listeners, what we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Change is incredibly scary, especially with the unknown and unfamiliar territory. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing. Look out for the episodes as they're being released. Download them, have a listen, put a review and a rating. Feel free to share them with your friends, your family, and your network. Hey, if there's any feedback you'd like to give me about the show, or if there's a question you have for the Ask Denis Freestyle episode, then send me an email, dennis@leadingchangepartners.com. Hey, listeners, it's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.